Paul Stewart with Pat DePuzzo and Jerry Pateman. Those are the officials for the game. May leads the league in fighting majors with 18. Berube is pretty close with 15. Partner with a check. Berube just stepped into by Drews, and back to turn with this is May. Winds it around the board. Chychrun is there, tries to pump it back further. It is cut off, though, by Pivonka and turned out to Alan May. May, eyed up by Kartner, tries to start through. May dumps it along the boards, and back it goes deep where Pivonka is there, but instead it'll be Tocchet taking it behind his own goal. Tocchet starting back up to neutral ice. Pivoting away from the checking of Pivonka. Tocchet moves in, crosses, sent it in front, Sutter, a backhander! Saved by Rivnak. The Flyers raise their sticks. They think they've got one. The light does not go on, and Paul Stewart signals a face-off near Rivnak. So he held it out.
Boy, you talk about a hockey game starting off where one finished yesterday, and that is with the Flyers involved in a situation around the goal mouth. Yesterday it was their goal, and it was the controversial goal by Boston. Today the Flyers thought they had one. Rivnak had the puck under at least one of his pads, and Craig Berube came and jammed at it. You know, if Craig Berube stops there, Mike, if he stops and simply pitchforks Rivnak back into the net, he has the goal. But look at Berube, one swipe at it, and then he skates by the net. So Rivnak is really able to hold himself out of the goal, and there you can see the puck. Ron Sutter thought that it was in, but I don't know how he could have seen it being under Rivnak's pads.
Tim Kerr wades in for the faceoff as Paul Holmgren looks on from the bench. Kerr along with Hunter. Puck chipped loose. Keeping it alive is Murphy, but it comes back to Rod Langway. Rolls one along that is turned back out by Hatcher with this flip that went off the glove of Wells. Brought on by Courtnall. He's got Hunter up the wing. Courtnall to Hunter. Score!
Well, the Washington Caps certainly made a relaxed play on this one. Nice little pass from Courtnall over to Dale Hunter, and he just redirected the pass by Ken Reagan. There's where the breakdown happened right there. Jay Wells standing in, trying to stop a long, high pass that got over his head. He jumped, he missed it, and away went the Caps on a 2-on-1.
Hatcher pivoting, chased off by Lintzman. It's laid back over to Langway, then to Hatcher once more. Courtnall gets one assist, and Hatcher gets the other at the 52-second mark. And it is Hunter's 14th goal of the year.
Well, the Flyers have made a couple of lineup changes today. Craig Berube is back in the lineup, and Kerry Huffman is in the lineup because of the re-injured back of Mark Howe. There are the players not in uniform today. As we mentioned, two players back in that didn't play yesterday. And the Washington Caps are a healthy team except for Scott Stevens. He's their key guy that is out. Another look at the goal. Nice little flip pass from Courtnall over to Dale Hunter, and Ken Reagan got a piece of that. But the goaltender relies so heavily on the defenseman blocking the pass. If the pass is perfect, and that time it was, no matter which defenseman is back there, you can't get in between it.
Kent Painter sends this one all the way back down the ice, and there'll be an icing touch-up coming from Huffman. Boy, the Flyers thought they had one in the first 20 seconds, and then back came the Caps to get one here. So the Capitals have the early lead in the game by a count of 1-0.
Saw Kerry Huffman there. The last words I heard Bobby Clark speak to Kerry Huffman this morning as Huffman was going in to get ready was, "Come on, Huff, have a good game, shoot that puck." They want Kerry Huffman to direct a lot of shots at whoever he's playing against. You know, and when your offensive confidence leaves you, and let's face it, that has happened to a lot of Flyers, you tend to think pass before you think shoot.
Over the 10-game segment that ended prior to the Boston game, Huffman was the best plus-minus on the team over that 10-game span at a +5. Dave Poulin was second at 4, and Brian Propp had a 3. Ciccarelli forced off by the checking of Bullard, and it's sent across to Samuelson from Huffman, then back out now to Murray Craven. Craven moving ahead, angles one off the board. Stepping in to get this now is Hatcher. Hatcher pivoting behind, leaned on by Tocchet, but he escapes that and moves back out. Big Kevin Hatcher, the Caps representative in the All-Star game, just dumps one toward the corner that is picked off by Huffman. Dealt right back along. Bullard can't reach it. Hatcher can. And it is forced off by Bullard and then brought further by Craven. Couldn't get it by Hatcher, and it ricochets to Dino Ciccarelli. He moves in and pivots. Ciccarelli taken to the boards by Craven. Rolled one along. Ridley taken right behind the net by Mike Bullard, and it's lifted along by Samuelson. and regathered by Kent Painter at center ice. Painter just having been called up from the Baltimore Skipjacks, the Capitals farm team. Cicerelli lost this one, but turning with it is Bullard. Shift change on for the Flyers, so Bullard right now is by himself. Big shot, and it went wide of Rivnak in the goal. Behind the net, it's scooped up by Rouse. Dumped right back along, and it trickled through Painter. Tried to jab it further, but it kicked on back. Dumped back toward the area behind the net. Painter tried to get to it. Fought off, though, by Mellenby, and it swirled around for Leach. Steve Leach trying to get away from Sutter's checking. Connects back up the wing to Corriveau, moving out with Leach and Pavonka. Corriveau just dumps one back in. And behind the net, Reggett swings it around for Derek Smith. Checked off by Leach. Loose puck goes back to Corriveau. Good hit on him by Terry Kartner. Centering pass picked up by Sutter and thrown back down by Scott Mellenby. Derek Smith trying to get there ahead of Sheehy. They go to the boards hard. Smith centers. Picked up by Sutter. Across the goal now. Dealt away by Pavonka. Shot by Kartner. And that one blocked off. Picked up now by Sutter. Looks to Smith. One-time shot knocked down by the defense and picked up by Pavonka again, who has made two good defensive plays in front of his own cage. Now it's rolled back out by Leach, and it'll be regathered by Chychrun.
Boy, Terry Kartner is a man possessed out there. He has had 3 huge hits already. I don't think the coaching staff was all that happy with the game that a lot of the defensemen played yesterday in a physical sense at certain junctures. Certain spurts, the Flyers were very assertive physically, and other ones, the staff thinks that they let people off the hook. Well, Terry Kartner has taken the bull by the horns today. He's had 3 big hits already.
And he controls the puck back over now to Murphy. Murphy works it up the wing. On comes Norman Lacombe, who had several hits yesterday in Boston as well. That one flopped to the board, dealt back off by Hatcher, and then he's hit by Craig Berube. Puck taken, though, and dumped back along by Wells. Then Berube lifts one back down. Well, Terry Murray is answering the Berube line with one that includes Alan May. Back up now it is Hatcher. Turning it back ahead for Druce, and Druce's shot was deflected by Murphy and regathered by Jay Wells. Wells fires one back around the boards, and it is bunted loose by Rivnak and picked up by Painter. Painter advances it up now to Rouse. Bob Rouse, who came here in a trade last year from the Minnesota North Stars, sees this one turned to the corner. Worked back off by Murphy. Digging for it is Tim Kerr. Battle continues, and the puck will go to neutral ice. 15:20 to go in the first period of our game. If you're just joining us, the lone goal from Dale Hunter. Courtnall to the slot. Can't get a good shot away, as it's blocked away by Murphy to the corner, and then Murphy and Courtnall test once more. Out in front it comes for Jay Wells. Back to the corner, Hunter. But his pass is cut off and brought up by Brian Propp. Propp moving ahead now along with Tim Kerr. Up the wing to Wells. A shot off the stick of Rivnak. And it's picked up by Courtnall as Jay Wells with a good wrist shot. Up the wing they try for John Tucker, who has also come here in a trade, but this season from the Buffalo Sabres. Now back ahead comes Kerr. Has Linseman and Propp with him. The pass is off Propp's stick. Tip back out to Courtnall. Flyers have made a change. Samuelson and Huffman are the defense. Courtnall moves. Wrists one in front that is tipped off of Reggett by Ridley. Bell along in Cicerelli. Given a big hit by Tim Kerr. Sheehy goes back to play for the Caps. Sliding it across. Now some sparring between Kerr and Cicerelli drawing the attention of the crowd. Brought ahead Sheehy. Puck turned back to the corner. Samuelson after that. Taken to the boards by Kelly Miller. In comes Ridley, but he can't get it. It is Huffman rounding now for the Flyers with a pass back up for Bullard. Cut off by Sheehy. Took a shoulder from Tocchet after he dumped that one left by Samuelson. Poked to the front by Miller and a save made by Reggett. Drive! Save again by Reggett. That time on a shot from Johansson. And Reggett was flat on the ice when he got a piece of it. Dealt back along away from Sheehy. Brought on now by Mike Bullard. Has Tocchet breaking. Bullard couldn't jam it through. Samuelson a shot. They score! Off of Rivnak and in. Kjell Samuelson has tied the game at 1.
It was Kjell Samuelson that created the monster for Ken Reggett at the other end. Samuelson had lost the puck in front, and that's how the Caps had their great scoring chance. He came back and redeemed himself in a big way. That shot heading for the net, I think, went off a stick in front, and it may have been Rick Tocchet's stick. You could see Tocchet raise his arms. Watch this shot from Samuelson. Tocchet with his left hand, only one hand on the stick, kept it on the ice, and I think he got a piece of that and put it under Rivnak. Nice drop pass by Mike Bullard, but one of the keys here, too, Mike, is Samuelson being up on the play. I mean, get into the attack, get up there, get involved. That's what Samuelson did, and it looked like Rick Tocchet deflected it home. Hot. Here's Hot.
They credit the goal to Samuelson for now. That could be changed. may have noticed Rick Tocchet glancing up at the center ice screen to see the replay himself. And the camera came right back on him as if the TV people here felt that he had gotten it. So there could be a change in the scoring on that one. Meanwhile, Derek Smith out in front. Backhander save. Rebound. Oh, and a sprawling save by Rivnak on Sutter. And Rivnak able to hold on. And here's the first scrap of the tilt. Rouse and Mellenby. And this is a repeat of an earlier one this year.
In a sense, I'm glad Scott Mellenby went down there. His hand still isn't that good. Rouse is healthy. Penalties to both Bob Rouse and to Scott Mellenby.
Starting in number 19, Scott Mellenby.
Watch the action in front. Great scoring chance for Ron Sutter. 2 minutes each for roughing. Right there is where the fight started, and Rouse really dropped his gloves and went at Mellenby right away, but there was no instigator. You know, Mike, this line of Ron Sutter with Scott Mellenby and Derek Smith, you know, are going to generate scoring chances every time they play together for a period of at least one hockey game. They work hard, they forecheck well, and it's just a matter of having somebody that can break out of a slump and turn into a regular scorer. The only thing that line is missing is perhaps a finisher, a guy that can finish on a regular basis because they know they're going to get their chances. They're really dominant in a forechecking sense.
Well, you just go on past history as well as current history, and that line is loaded with goals. Just chock full. Well, Dale Hunter and Ron Sutter, two unyielding guys, are not yet set for the faceoff, and Hunter's the guy that gets pitched. Pat DiPuzzo will watch as stepping in will be, well, it initially looked like it was going to be Leach, but now Michael Pavonka. So Pavonka on the draw with Ron Sutter. Off the faceoff, it is wedged along by Kerr. Huffman, a shot went off of Sutter and wide. Flyers have outshot the Caps 5-3 thus far in the first period. Capitals' first shot went home. That's from Dale Hunter. And for the Flyers, it was their fifth, coming from Rick Tocchet on a deflection, we think. Ahead with this now is Sutter, watched tightly by Rod Langway, and help came from Corriveau to move it back out. Corriveau trying to shake his way by Chikrin, but can't. Terry Kartner takes over, sweeps it onto the turning stick of Kerr. Ahead it comes on the wing, but away from Ron Sutter. Sutter going to the corner, and right on him is Kevin Hatcher, and the two of them go to the wall. It is Leach for the Capitals. Leach given a good hit. Puck went all the way back down, and gliding out of his goal to take this is Ken Reggett. Reggett swings it ahead, and it goes by everybody, and both teams were in the midst of changes at the time, so I think we may have had about 35 sets of skates on the ice at once.
Probably a good decision by all of them not to play it, too.
Exactly. Down to the ice goes Johansson. Ahead, Courtnall, a shot. He scores! Oh, he didn't have much to shoot at, but did he ever pick the corner? And it is 2-1 Capitals.
Well, that is two outstanding displays of relaxed hands coming off the right wing from Jeff Courtnall. He's a left winger, but he has found himself a couple of times because of the crisscrossing patterns that this line uses, coming in on his off wing. He looked up, he didn't shoot it all that hard, and you couldn't see it from that angle, but he put it right in off the post, and you can see how far to the net Ken Reggett is. This was a goal that was just about unstoppable. When you get right there to the dot, if you pick it right and get enough zip on it, you can put it home. Here's the best angle to look at it from. Right off the post. Ken Reggett couldn't have done a thing on that one. Jeff Courtnall has shown me a lot. He's a relaxed guy right now. Big assist on the Caps' first goal, and a nice shot to score the Caps' second goal.
Ridley stepped into by Bullard. Puck taken by Bullard and flung off of Craven. Poke checked away from him, and taking it is Chikrin for a shot that is blocked away. So now it's Rod Langway with 12:10 to go in the opening period of this game, and his team ahead 2-1, seeing it go to Kartner, but that shot knocked away by Ciccarelli, who steps ahead on Jeff Chikrin. Ciccarelli crossing, nudges it ahead for Miller's shot, and it's blocked away by Reggett. Trapped by Reggett, and then it's loose, but in the meantime, Paul Stewart had blown the whistle, so we have a stoppage of play. Johansson and Rivnak get the assist on Courtnall's 19th at 7:28. Right now, the Samuelson goal is in the books as his fourth from Bullard and Craven, but we expect that to be changed to Tocchet. That was at 6:11. Terry Murray, coach of the Capitals, will be one of our intermission guests today. Interview recorded before the game.
All have a chance to talk to Tim Kerr at the end of the first period. Probably opened with the question I've asked him before. How's his shoulder? Maybe he just rolled tape from one of the previous interviews.
Almost. Except the condition tends to change, doesn't it? Here's Berglund pivoting, trying to shake Murphy, but can't. Taken right to the boards by Gord Murphy. Trying to get in for this now as Wells. Alan May given a shove by Wells. And there may be some more here. Okay, here we go, and it's Wells and Alan May.
Boy, Alan May wants that haymaker. He's got it cocked. Oh, he changed and went to the left. May had the right cocked. He came at Jay Wells like he was going to be a righty, and then when he got close enough, he grabbed with a right and threw a left. Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, Alan May's had a lot of practice this year, and he sure knows what he's doing. Jay Wells did a pretty good job against him. You know something? When you fight a lot, the good fighters end up with sore hands.
May got a misconduct out of that in addition to a fighting major, and for Wells, a fighting major only. So Paul Stewart has seen to it that May won't be back until the second period.
Well, anybody that has watched Jay Wells play this hockey season, or even earlier in his career, knows that it doesn't matter how big the guy is. He made a commitment to himself never to back down and go the other way. And when Alan May gave him a shot, and we'll see it probably at the tail end of this, big pile-up in front. May and Wells still going at it, but watch this pile-up on the boards. Watch Alan May finally give Jay Wells, boom, a poke right there, and Wells says, okay, let's go. And there's May. See him lining up as a righty? Look at him. He wants to grab with the left and throw with the right, then whoop, changes. Goes to the lefty. That's tough. I mean, that's tough when you got a guy that's switching back and forth like that. You don't know how he's going to come at you.
Sheehy shot tipped away by Kartner. It is jammed behind by Tucker, but off the stick of Dale Hunter. Hooked away by Courtnall, but a good cover by Lintzman, and then back out now to Brian Tropp. Tropp across to Gord Murphy. Moves along with Lintzman. Lintzman breaks to the net. Flipped that one right in on goal, and Rivnak able to make the stop. Flyers had good conception on that, and the execution was good, too.
Here's a look at it coming right in at Rivnak. Kenny Lintzman looked like he got a piece of it and deflected it right on the 21-year-old Caps goalie. But Tim Kerr's sure been a hungry guy. I guess your hunger would tend to just increase every game that you have to sit out. And 33 games is what Tim Kerr spent on the sideline this time with the shoulder. I've never sat down and totaled them up. I doubt that Tim Kerr has either, the number of games totally that he has missed from his bad shoulder. I imagine Gord Kluzak still has him beat with the knee in Boston by quite a great margin, but Tim Kerr has had to watch a lot of hockey in the last 3 years.
Samuelson shot. Rivnak got down low on it. Puck came back over to Smith. Dealt it to the boards, but Dale Hunter is there. Flops one that comes back out to Corbo. Stepped into by Samuelson. And played back by Sutter to Huffman. 11 minutes to go. First period. Caps ahead in the game by a count of 2-1. Turning with this now is Norman Lacombe. Walks right to the front. Had it chased off his stick, though, by the checking of Painter. Back up with it is Leach. Moving on with Dale Hunter. It's a 2-on-3 right now. Leach pivots. Match stride for stride by Huffman. Centered one. Guarding the door with Samuelson. And it's floated back over near Lacombe. Starts it back up for the Flyers. Norman Lacombe able to pivot away from Ridley, but lost to Hatcher. And then across to Leach. Dealt over, and then Bullard went down, but taking it is Hatcher. Sidesteps the checking of Sutter. Big Kevin Hatcher fires a shot that went wide. Now it's Miller trying to center. Taken to the boards by Samuelson. Leach up with it. Looks to the point to Johansson, but is checked by Huffman. Huffman tried to wedge it loose for Sutter and did. Then it's dealt right back along, and trying to pinch is Johansson. Johansson's second effort floats it behind. Ridley there. Looks to the slot. Has nobody. Pivots from Samuelson. Then pivots back. Has Miller blocking at the front. Ridley to the slot now with it. Feeds it over for a shot by Ciccarelli. That's blocked off by the defense and brought back up by Sutter. Ron Sutter plays it up the wing. Here's a chance for Tocchet. Moving in with Bullard. Tocchet around. Centered. Save made by Rivnak on the centering pass. And then Bullard unable to pick it up for a rebound. Dumped right back off the boards by Chychrun. And Miller is there. Hit by Murray Craven. And the puck worked ahead where Kartner stepped in and is really working over Dino Ciccarelli. Or check that. Is that Hunter?
Yeah, no, that's Ciccarelli. Now Kartner says, okay, pal, you want enough? You want some more? You'll get some more. I mentioned Terry Kartner as a man on a mission. He looked like that the first shift, and he has continued to play like that. One of the strongest physical games for Terry Kartner. We've only played half the first period that I've seen in the last 15. Chychrun and Sheehy is what you're looking at now. And Nhl Sheehy all season long has been a burr under the saddle of just about every Flyer.
Of all the teams the Flyers have played this year, this is the one they like the least. Obviously, you don't love any opponent, but they hate these guys. And I'm sure that the reverse is true. And it showed last game in Philadelphia. They had 8 fights then. They've had, counting the one today, 12 over the course of just 4 1/3 games.
Now we'll see what Nhl Sheehy wants to do here. Well, he wants to go the other way.
Just wondered, does he have those flyaway sleeves? I was just looking at that. We have not gotten the penalty calls as of yet. Paul Stewart is making the calls so that they can be announced over the public address system. This is the start of it all.
Terry Karkner just scraped Cicerelli into the boards and then didn't want to let him go. And finally, that right hand from Cicerelli is what sparked Terry Karkner, and he said, I ain't going to take that. But Cicerelli's given away a lot of size, but you see the competitive spirit in Cicerelli. He just swung around with that big right. And this is where Jeff Chychrun got involved with Sheehy right in front of the Flyers bench.
Number 29, Terry Karkner, 2 minutes for roughing. Number 6, Jeff Chychrun, 2 minutes for roughing. Washington, number 15, Nhl Sheehy, 2 minutes for roughing. Number 22, Nino Cicerelli, gets 2 minutes for high sticking and 2 minutes for roughing.
Well, the Caps picked up the extra 2. Cicerelli got 4. Everybody else just got 2.
Karkner and Chychrun roughing. Cicerelli and Sheehy roughing. Cicerelli an additional high sticking penalty. And so the first power play of the game is coming up to the Flyers, who are 7 for their last 26. The Caps have not been that good at killing them off. They've yielded in 5 of the last 22 over 4 games played. And they've given up at least 1 in each of the last 5 games. So penalty killing has not been their strength, even though it has been a part of their historical strength. Puck ricocheted back into Langway. Langway dumps it back off, and it's corralled by Craven. Now, Craven, Murphy, as well as Tocchet, Eklund, and Kerr. Those are the 5 Flyers in front of Ken Reggett. Miller and Ridley up front. Langway and Hatcher in back. They're going with the customary experience that they have in the specialty of penalty killing. Tocchet tips that one in deep. Back to get it is Langway. Stepped into, though, by Eklund. Along it came for Kelly Miller. Miller flips one that will force the Flyers back. Left by Murphy, and then picked up in a missed signal by Ridley. And Ridley may play some 4 corners with it here. Draws a couple Flyers to him and gave it away to Eklund. Shot! Save made by Rivnak, and the rebound scooped up by Hatcher. So a goof on either side, and more time has gone off the clock, down to the last minute 5 of the Flyers' power play. Corriveau is serving the extra minor that had been assessed to Cicerelli. It is Lintzman, stepped into by Pavanka. Pavanka able to feed it away. And it's played along now by Lintzman and Craven and knocked away to Kevin Hatcher. Hatcher just looks for some room, turning it along to Druce, and Druce rolled it back in deep. So except for the one giveaway by Ridley, Washington has done a good job in this short-handed situation. Ahead with it now strides Mike Bullard. Looking toward Painter. Bullard back behind. Cruises and Pavanka's there. Looks for a centering pass. Gives to the back. Samuelson shoots one that's deflected wide. And Johansson drills it, but Samuelson able to keep. Tried to punch it ahead, and Druce came in. Then Pavanka. It's bumped back along to neutralize and then kicked back in. And they say an onside play as it's lifted back down by Johansson. 15 seconds to go on the power play. Gary Huffman pivots, brings it back out, and is watched by Miller and then by Ridley. Drilled back along, and Rivnak able to make this stop. Then along for Hatcher, and down. Out of the box, Corriveau, and the teams are back at full strength. Caps ahead in the game 2-1 with 7 minutes and 30 seconds to go here in the first period. Huffman's pass, stopped by Langway. Slides it back across to Kevin Hatcher, and Hatcher just pops one back deep. Shell Samuelson back to get it. He's Huffman right now. The front line Tocchet has Sutter at center and Bullard on the left wing. Well, Mike Bullard has played a lot of positions on a lot of lines this year, hasn't he? Ridley chased to the wall by Sutter. Then comes Samuelson nearby. Trying to jam it loose is John Tucker, number 12 for the Capitals. Finally, it's pinned to the boards.
Shell Sanderson, when the play stopped, smashed his stick down on the board, and it is going to be a frustrating kind of day for players on both of these teams because it's going to be a trench-like game. A lot of action in front of the net, in the corners, along the boards. And you may have heard in the background the PA announcing the change on that goal. Now officially it is Rick Tocchet who scored the Flyers' only goal.
Tocchet's 26th, and the assists go to Samuelson and Bullard on that. So that's a tough adjustment. We're mentioning Mike Bullard having to play different positions, different lines, and it changes so much on him.
And you know, that's one of the problems when you're not winning hockey games consistently. You remember how Paul Holmgren was able to stay with some pretty set lineups when the team was producing offensively and winning hockey games consistently. You haven't got time to stick with combinations that just aren't doing it. And as a result, you see a lot of combinations when teams aren't producing and aren't winning hockey games.
This is Kent Painter on defense for the Caps with a pass that went off of Hunter, played by Terry Kartner. Kartner trying to move back in. He's got Lacombe breaking, fed to the opposite side for Derek Smith. He cancels out with Courtnall, and it's picked up by Hunter. Hunter floats it back across to Rouse. Rouse giving a hit by Kartner and bringing it on as Tucker. Up the wing now to Courtnall. Courtnall just pivots away, still gliding with it. Forced to the boards by Lacombe. Puck dumped off of Chychrun, who's tied up there with Dale Hunter. Lacombe can't take it away. Still the battle on, and back it comes for Johansson. Shot that's blocked out and brought on by Lacombe. Lacombe trying to get by the defense, but can't. Good rank closing that time by Johansson and Rouse. Drilled right back into the Flyers, and so Rivnak will set it up behind. Rivnak is 1-0 in his career, a 6-3 victory over the Montreal Canadiens here on Friday. Centering pass came right out of the corner, and Reggett just stopped and then scooped it back to Lintzman. Starts it back up for Propp, and then the drop back to Kenny Lintzman again. Lintzman pestered by Pavonka, can't penetrate the line. Puck corralled by Neil Sheehy, and Sheehy just passes one that is blocked off by Lintzman and overskated by Pavonka. Tim Kerr comes by, trying to get by Sheehy on defense. Here's Kerr, centering one, and it's sent just wide by Propp, who was defended by Johansson. Samuelson a shot, blocked off by Rivnak. Rebound scooped behind by Rivnak, then he has to grab it, but can't get it. Sent to the boards, and Lintzman has it, but it's dropped on back to Johansson, then floated back out past Drews. 5:20 left in the first period. Capitals ahead in this game. 2-1 is on now with it as Leach. In early, though, was Druce, and so an offside call. We'll return to the Capitol Center in Landover, Maryland in just a moment.
Tough hockey game. It'll be interesting to see if the Flyers can maintain the physical play that they know they have to continue here in Washington. Remember, the Flyers played yesterday and had a real physical game in Boston. The Caps didn't play yesterday, so it figured to be a more rested team. It'll be a test of conditioning for the Flyers today.
Puck tipped away by Murray Craven. Tocchet rams right into Rod Langway, coming by as Craven. Checked by Berglund, but got it ahead to Bullard. Wrist shot is deflected wide by Hatcher. Bullard tried to chop it along. Berglund able to help it further, and Langway takes over, brushing it, but Murphy trying for the good keep and got it. Back it comes to Craven, over to Bullard. A shot is tipped wide by Hatcher. Now it is Murphy pinching. It's sent off his stick and across to Berglund, able to worm it back out to center ice, and on now to Miller. Sized up by Jay Wells. Miller shakes and holds. Sends one in front, and Murphy had his man Berglund, so it could not be grabbed. Now Murphy again dumps it off, but Berglund is right there this time. Stepped into by Tocchet, then Murphy locks up along the wall with Mike Ridley. Loose puck behind, taken down with Jay Wells, and the puck underneath, and so we get a halt to play. With 4:24 to go in the first, Capitals leading the Flyers 2-1, and Gord Murphy has again been a standout in the early going this afternoon.
He really has. You know, last year, Gord Murphy played all season long with Jay Wells. Well, with Jay being in and out of the lineup with a few injuries this year, Gord Murphy has been not only paired with different people, but he's been put on the left side. Yesterday, when Mark Howe left the hockey game partway through, Gord Murphy was part of a 5-man rotation and ended up playing the left side a little bit. And last year, Gord Murphy was an excellent offensive defenseman. This year, in his sophomore year, he's become a great all-around defenseman. Defensively, he stepped up his game in a physical sense. Yesterday, he really dished out some great body checks, too, along the boards.
Courtnall for the face-off with Ron Sutter. 4:24 to go in this first period. Flyers have outshot the Caps 10-5. They have them ready, and off this tie-up, it is Sutter shoveling it along, then going to get it. Help came from Berube, started it back out with a pass on to Scott Mellanby. Mellanby pivots, taken to the boards by Painter. Pass came back for him, but it's cut off by Leach. Leach starts it back out now, along with Corriveau. Leach just deals it off, and moving in with it is the defenseman, Painter. Then back for a play to be made by Berube. Right now, he's one-on-one with Rouse, trying to hustle into the play as Mellenby. And Rouse goes down. Here's Berube walking in. He scores!
Oh!
Craig Berube has tied the game at 2. He went right to the backhand. Boy, they all do it. Mario does it. Gretzky does it.
Craig Berube did not suit up yesterday. He is back in today, and Rouse went down. And you know, Mike, when he was cutting, I was saying to myself, cut in front. Don't shoot and then go wide of the net. Sure enough, he pulled it in front before Rivnak could get to it with the poke check, and then just tucked it right under him. What an all-star goal. Okay, Bobby Rouse helped him out a little bit right here. Watch Rouse go down. And Berube, here's what I'm saying, cut in front right now, and he cut perfectly. Rivnak went for the poke check and missed, and as soon as he missed, his body was up in the air still, and Berube was able to tuck it underneath. Highlight film all the way, I'll tell you. Great goal by Craig Berube, and the Flyers decided it to routine, right, Chief? Routine.
And Turk Evers is squeamish a little more now.
Oh, they have that 10-goal bet, don't they?
All the way back down to get this is Brian Propp. Propp pivots, locked up there by Sheehy, trying to battle his way along, though. Fetted, but for Dale Hunter. Tries to get away from the checking of Lintzman. Hunter pursued by Lintzman all the way out to neutralize, and Lintzman took it right off his stick. Lintzman heads back in, fires, but no matter, as the ruling is that Tim Kerr was in early, and so it's an offside call. 3:30 to go here in the first period. Berube gets the goal unassisted at 16:04 to tie this game at 2.
And you know, Mike, it was really a rookie mistake in the offensive zone that at least sprung Berube away on the one-on-one. Kent Painter, the young defenseman that was paired with Rouse out there, decided to get up on the play. Well, the puck was dished off to him. He went wide, and he made a drop pass that was off the mark and had too much steam on it, and it caught all of the caps up ice. But still, it was a one-on-one situation. If Rouse doesn't go down there, Craig Berube's got a major obstacle to get around. But Kent Painter really made a drop pass that wasn't the right time for.
Off this face-off, it's sent back down by Tucker. Tucker, the right wing, Hunter, the center, and on the left side, it is Courtnall. Sheehy, right defense, and the left defense, Johansson. And Caps have out there 5 guys that they've traded for in the last couple of years, and this is a team that has been strengthened by the trades that it has made. They're pretty careful about it. Puck comes back on now to Huffman. Moves in, eyed up by Sheehy. Shot knocked down. Trying to follow up is Huffman, but Sheehy is able to get it. 3 minutes to go in the first period of play. Propp is there, forced off by Tucker. Puck to Huffman, tries to return to Propp, but Tucker in the way. Good back checking by him, and he's able to roll it back out. Courtnall striding for it, eyed up by Kjell Samuelsson. Courtnall just looks, he's got no one. Still controlling, wrapped up by Samuelsson, punched it to the corner, and Langway is in to get it. Jams it back behind. Still they scrap for it, and Cicerelli able to move away. Dino Cicerelli watched, stride for stride by Huffman. Hatcher a shot, turned away by Reggett. Moving in now is Langway. His shot, blocked off by Reggett. Rebound! Oh, and Reggett was able to get a piece of that one. As trying to lift it was Courtnall, but he couldn't get it home. And so Ken Reggett preserves the tie that we have. With 2:30 to go in the first, it is 2-2.
Well, Ken Reggett has had to be at his acrobatic best here in the first period. Jeff Courtnall set up one and scored one. And he had it right on his tape and had a chance to make this a 3-2 hockey game right here. But this baby was rolling. That wasn't a flat one. Ken Reggett stacked his pads pretty well. Courtnall wasn't able to get it up over him.
Stumbling is Ridley. Forced off now by Wells. Hands on to Cicerelli. Across! Oh, and that one scooped up by Reggett. Good work by Murphy so that there couldn't be much mustard on that one coming from Kelly Miller.
You know, sometimes when you're a goaltender, you seem to be out of step, maybe a little off balance, going the other way. And other times, you've got your rhythm. Today, it looks to me like Ken Reggett has his rhythm. He stacked his pads at the right time. He has anticipated well, and this time, you can see that he's got his glove down ready to roll. I mean, it just to me appears as if he's got his rhythm today. And you can't really control it a lot of times.
Capitals had gone shotless for 10 minutes until about the last minute or so of action here. Cicerelli fires. Oh, did that catch iron? All the way around it goes. Looked like it was headed wide, but I heard a clink, too. Could have been from a stick against the outside of the goal, as you see Langway and Hatcher trying to control, and Tocchet feeds one in front, but it is cut off by Ridley and started up to Cicerelli. Jay Wells watching him on defense as Cicerelli crosses and drops it over for Miller. Backhander. Bad save by Reggett, and he'll hang on with 1:54 to go in this first period.
You know, the Flyers are aware that this is the line they have to stop. Traditionally, Mike Ridley and Kelly Miller, even when they were with the New York Rangers, have been guys that have really caused the Flyers a lot of problems. And now they have Dino Ciccarelli on their line, who is just a guy that never quits. So it's kind of a bread and butter line for the Caps every time they face the Flyers. And the Flyers have to make sure they do a good job on them. So far today in the first period, though, it's been Courtnall that's had the majority of the chances.
Flyers with their last visit to Cap Center the regular season today. They have a 5-3 Washington win the very first week of the season. Then they won here 3-2. They have 2 home losses to the Caps, both by a goal. Puck picked off now by Drews. Drews tries to shake by the defensive Kartner. No sail there. Goes right back again, though, and deals it off to Berglund. Forced off, though, by the checking of Jeff Chychrun. Puck toward Rouse, but then sent to the corner, and Drews is in. Then along with Kartner, they battle. Kartner trying to turn away while falling, able to scoop it along to Ron Sutter. Sutter able to turn it back up to Murray Craven now in the final 90 seconds of this first period. Craven lifts it back to the corner. Going back to get it is Kent Painter. Mellenby moves in on him, so also does Sutter, but it's dealt back to the point where a shot came from Derek Smith and ricocheted off Mellenby. Brought back up now by Berglund. A pass across that's brought back in by Pavanka, and a shot that is slowed by Chychrun. Chychrun to the corner, given a good lick by Pavanka. Turned back up to Mellenby, then back on now to Ron Sutter. Crisscrossing with Derek Smith. Drops to Smith for a shot. Kicked out by Ribnak. Rebound! And Ribnak made the save on Ron Sutter. Right back across it comes off Sutter's skate, and it's shot back down by the Capitals. This will be an icing call as going back to get it is Huffman. Boy, the Flyers all around the net had a chance to break the tie, but couldn't get it past Ribnak. So we have 3 games going in the NHL, and all of them, in deference to the Super Bowl, are matinees. Huffman and Samuelson will be the defense. It'll be Lintzman and Eklund on either side of Tim Kerr. Kerr will try to win it from Dale Hunter, but as you can see close up, Hunter prevails back to Hatcher. Kevin Hatcher out of Detroit, rounding out to center ice with 45 seconds left in this period. Hatcher just glides in deep and then sent one that was tipped wide. Samuelson there, but it is picked up instead by Courtnall. Dropped back toward Dale Hunter. Hunter pivots across. Shot blocked by Reggett as that one came steaming along from Tucker, and they score! A tip on a shot from the point, and the Capitals have broken the tie. Reggett with a big save on John Tucker, but then the puck went back to the point. Rod Langway let it go, and it was directed right home.
Capitals goal, scored by number 14, Jeff Courtnall.
Well, Jeff Courtnall, who had made the feed to Tucker earlier that was denied by Reggett, was able to tip home this shot from Rod Langway.
Number 12, John Tucker.
Yet one more look at this is Langway, just in his second game back from injury, saw this one go right off Courtnall and in, and he had this one clearly set up for Courtnall in front. Despite the defense being on him, Courtnall was able to tip it home. So a seesaw game, and the Caps have their third 1-goal lead in this contest and lead 3-2 as we're down to the last dozen seconds of the period. Puck floated all the way back down. Ken Reggett to tap this now from Murphy. Gordon Murphy, chased by Ciccarelli. A pass ahead to Bullard. Has to hurry. 3 seconds to go in the period. Bullard taken to the boards by Langway, and that'll do it on this opening period of play. Courtnall's goal, his 20th, comes from Langway with a 3-2 lead for the Capitals here. Puck came back to Sheehy. Watched by Sutter. Sheehy taken to the wall by Sutter. Flipped ahead. The puck by Craig Berube. Gathered in by Pavanka. Then turns it up the wing, trying to get loose with it is Berglund, but it's brought on by Sutter. 3-on-2. Sutter with a pass across. Tocchet back for Sutter. Tocchet from the slot, a shot that is tipped away by Berube. And it is rolled along by John Drews. Picked up and brought up by Johansson. Johansson's pass on the money to Pavanka. Then across to Drews. Watched by Ron Sutter. Sutter tries to take it away. He and Drews contest for it in the corner. Suicide battle, and emerging with it is Terry Kartner. Kartner for the Flyers with a pass on now to Tocchet. Tocchet pivots and can bring it back out, laying it across for Kartner once more, and the Flyers will play some dump and chase here, though Ribnak is able to stop it behind for Johansson. Just 52 seconds gone here in the second period. If you're just joining us, it's a 3-2 game. The Caps have had 3 1-goal leads. Puck dumped right back in. Scott Mellenby goes to get it. Sheehy is there first. Turns it back off toward the corner. Drilled around the boards by Johansson. And back down. Jay Wells goes back to take this. Wells short of icing. Wells looks up to Murphy and gives to him. He has Lintzman flying up the left. Hands over to Mellenby. Puck tipped loose off of Lintzman. Overskated by Prop. And kept alive by Murphy, but right over for Rouse. Hurried it across, and it's sent back out by Tucker, but gathered in by Jay Wells. Wells trying to step along. There's too much traffic there. Trickles one in that is cut off and played by the defense. Kent Painter with it. Turning it back for Hunter, who just spins and starts to move back up ice. Dale Hunter pivots away from one. Wiped out, though, and the puck taken by Lintzman sent just ahead from Prop, who will have to chase down and bring it on. Prop bumped right down. Mellenby with a shot, blocked down by Painter. Mellenby got to the front, poked away by Rivnak. To the corner, Prop throws it behind. Lintzman moves for it and going to the corner as well as Hunter. But up the boards it came for Jeff Courtnall. Lost it to Murphy. Then across now for Prop. This one picked off by Tucker. Wanted Hunter up the wing, and Gord Murphy just reached out and poked it loose. Now Hunter again. Then along to Painter. Sends it on across to Rouse. Flyers bring out Rick Tocchet in the forechecking role. Turn back down. Tocchet, Craven, and Bullard the line, with the defense being now Murphy and Huffman. Tocchet guides it on ahead to Craven. Eyed up there by Langway. Spins one in. First one there is Bullard. Dumps it behind the net. Langway cut that off. Dealt it right up the wing, and in flight it is Miller. Bringing it on along with Ridley. Miller watched by Shell Samuelson. Shovels one that comes back to him. Then he's able to escape. Samuelson's hip check right out in front of the net. Couldn't get a shot away. Good play there by Murray Craven. Back up with it. Now comes Bullard. He's got Craven along with him. Hands it over for Craven. Flip to the corner. Going back now, Rod Langway. Given a shove by Tocchet. Langway able to get good control, though. Dumped it along. Kicked loose by Samuelson. Back to Langway. Intercepted by Bullard. Oh, if he'd been able to step away, but it was hooked away from him by Ridley, who walks it right back. Mike Ridley drops to Cicerelli, moves right in. Cicerelli, shot, kicked away by Reggett, who came coasting out and just glided right along with him. Puck turned back over by Tocchet. We're getting a penalty call coming up. Back to get this now is Samuelson. Penalty's going to be on Shell Samuelson. So on this delayed penalty call, we have now moving up with it Johansson. Hands back on the wing to Sheehy. Sheehy creeps in. Hooked off by Sutter. Puck controlled and kept alive to Cicerelli. Then back across it comes to Sheehy. Floats one across for a pass to Cicerelli. Tipped loose by Samuelson. The Flyers get possession. And now the penalty will be called. 16:25 to go in the second. The Caps to get their first power play, leading 3-2.
Well, Shell Samuelson had dragged down one of the Caps in behind Ken Reggett. Paul Stewart threw his arm up, but he ended up calling the penalty on Murray Craven. Coming back and trying to defend in front, and there it was, right in front. But now Stewart doesn't have his arm up at this stage. I just saw him skate through the back. I'm a little confused, but Murray Craven is in the penalty box, and the Caps are on a power play.
It's a hold at 3:35. The Caps' first power play of the game. They are 2 for their last 37 on the power play. The Flyers have been splendid in penalty killing off the last 17 straight power plays. Getting this now is Jay Wells. Took a hook from Courtnall, swung one out of play at the Capitals bench, and so again we'll have a stoppage and a face-off back in the Flyers' end. Boy, did Ken Reggett ever come up big on Dino Cicerelli, who had time and had space.
Yep. Well, you know, when we talk about Ken Reggett's strength, we hardly mention mobility. And he doesn't really show it that often. He's really a stay-at-home kind of goalie and stays within the confines and limits of his abilities. But that time when Cicerelli kept crossing in front of him and kept going and going and going, Reggett had to take these tiny steps. When you push off with the back foot, you have to push off to keep up your speed to stay with the shooter. But if you push off in big steps, you end up opening up your legs. And that's what Cicerelli was waiting for, Reggett to take one big push to open up, and it never happened. He ended up shooting for a 5-hole that wasn't there.
Interesting point. Puck comes to the back now, controlled by Johansson. Johansson looks to Hatcher and gives to him. At the front now is Dale Hunter, sparring with Wells as Hatcher shovels one, pad stop, rebound, poked up over the top of the net, and it came back over for Samuelson. Samuelson walking it back out for the Flyers, still controlling near Hatcher and makes them chase it. So this takes a half a minute of time. And the Capitals are able to move it back out now in the person of Johansson. Samuelson working in back along with Wells, and up front it is Tocchet and Sutter. Puck flipped loose off Courtnall. He and Tocchet go to the corner. Moving in is Tucker, swung off by Samuelson. Ricocheted, though, over to Hunter. Then to the back to Hatcher, scooped along to John Tucker. Gets away from Samuelson, back to Hatcher, feathers a pass across. Johansson across now for Tucker's shot that sailed wide. Moving for this is Tocchet, trying to wrap up Courtnall. Help came from Sutter, poke check loose though. Good play there by Johansson for Hunter to keep it alive. Then back on to Johansson, hands to Hatcher. One-timer! Save made by Reggett, rebound chopped away by Wells. It is Hunter to the back to Hatcher again. Kevin Hatcher watched by Sutter. Puck dealt off to Tucker. Looks to the front. No one inside the box yet. Puck floated across, and Johansson is there. Behind to Hunter. Tried to center. Can't do it. Forced away by Wells. Turning with it is Rick Tocchet. Can't get out with it. Given a hit by Courtnall. Courtnall trying to play to the back, and it's wedged across by Hunter, but this will come back to neutral ice with 27 seconds to go on the power play of the Capitals.
Boy, the Caps showed good support. You know, they kept the play alive so long in the Flyers' zone because there were always two guys on the puck. Not one, two.
Here is Smith taking it from Sutter. And all this time, the Flyers are chewing up the remainder of the penalty time on Murray Craven. It is Ridley in the last 10 seconds of the power play. Gives it back off for a Johansson tap to Pavonka. Pavonka trying to get by Chychrun, but can't. Now at the corner, still able to control. Flips it back along to Ridley. Penalty time is up to Craven. Ridley looks to Ciccarelli. Centering pass blocked away by Reggett. Turned around to the corner, and Ridley fights there with Derek Smith. Coming by two is Kartner, and it's helped back to the point. Rouse waiting. Feeds it back off to Ridley. No one at the slot. Ciccarelli moved there, and Eklund just tipped it back to neutral ice. And so now the Flyers have been able to regain the balance as this one is dumped in right into Reggett, but we get a stoppage of play on an offside pass. Rick Tocchet's goal in the first period, which initially was credited to Shell Samuelson, is one of two the Flyers have. Berube, the other, is for that goal. Bella, Pennsylvania Yellow Pages will donate $200 to the Flyers' Wives Fight for Lives Carnival. The ink is just now drying on that check, and it'll be hand-delivered to Fran Tobin in the morning. Off the face-off puck, dumped back in by Drews. Got to get that in the till, especially with all that's coming up next Sunday at the Spectrum. Here is a pass that chipped loose off of Eklund and back down. Rivnak there, but getting there for the icing touch-up will be Rouse, and so back it will be brought near Ken Reggett.
You know, on this last power play that the Caps had, I mentioned that they really supported well, and that's why they were able to maintain pressure. Well, they never did end up with any real good scoring chances because the Flyers' penalty killing was really so stable and so disciplined. And Paul Holmgren's guys not only were disciplined in their kill, but when the penalty ended and Murray Craven rejoined the play, boy, they made a nice transition from being a man short going back into more of a man-to-man coverage. That's when you make the transition from zone to man-to-man is when the penalty ends. And that's really the only time you go into a pure zone in hockey is when you're killing a penalty and you go into that either that box or that diamond shape when you're four penalty killers are in the defensive zone.
Puck back to Painter, tried to tip it loose. May forced off by Eklund, so Derek Smith can bring it ahead. Smith just shovels it around the boards, watching his Rivnak as the play unfolds behind him, then to his left for Painter to turn it back on to Drews. Then up to May, looks toward Hunter, but flips it into Pelle Eklund. Eklund forced by Drews, so he had to pass quickly to Kerr. Kerr can't get it along to the breaking Derek Smith, but help came from Murphy across to Wells, then on for Smith. 13:20 to go in the second, 3-2 Caps ahead if you're just joining us. Our matinee contest from the Cap Center in Landover, Maryland. Wells sent flying on a check from May, while Murphy played but lost to Painter. Rouse spins, returns back over to Painter. Flyers have made a change now. They have Craven out, along with Rick Tocchet and Bullard. Wells and Murphy, that old crew united now on defense. Puck played back across to Painter. His pass crisply on to Drews. Tried to set it ahead for the breaking Berglund, but that didn't work, and Mike Bullard wanted to feed up the wing for Tocchet. It's chipped loose to the corner. Tocchet got it. Spinning with it is Craven. Craven deals one off for Bullard. Chased right to the boards, though, and taken in hard by Drews. Jammed along by Craven. Tocchet trying to get away from Painter. Does. Back behind. Tocchet looks to the slot. Had Bullard. Couldn't get it to him as Painter tipped it not once but twice. Flipped back out for Drews. Bear hug by Shell Samuelson, and Samuelson with a long reach able to get it back in onside. Tocchet centered one in front. Save made by Rivnak on Mike Bullard as Tocchet was able to center across, and Bullard had Rivnak, but Rivnak responded well. Now back along with this one, it is Leach. Leaned down by Chychrun. To get it is Kelly Miller. Bumped to the boards by Samuelson. Leach, he had Ridley in front. Couldn't get it through a couple of Flyers, though. And Kerry Huffman can take over on the defense. Works it back up to Bullard. Moving along with Tocchet and Craven. Mike Bullard deliberately works in. Now over to Craven. Hammers one. That got the iron, I think, past Rivnak. Kicked right back out as Rivnak flexed to the pad, and it got the iron. Now here's Miller trying to get by Huffman and can't. Brian Propp in to check. Turned behind, though, and Ciccarelli is there. Had it poked off his stick by Kerry Huffman. Good defensive play by Huffman as Mellenby works it back up now to Brian Propp. Cruising and laying it off to Huffman, who carries in. Nice speed to prop in front for Mellenby. Oh, and a save made that time by Rivnak. Mellenby right on top of him in the net. That play comes back now with Rod Langway. Langway trying to get away from the checking of Prop. Rolls it behind for Ridley. Wedged right off by Linsman. And so the Flyers following through well on their checks. Up the wing it comes to Mellenby at 2-on-2. Mellenby finessed the pass that was read that time by Johansson. Prop ties up with him and the puck squirts back to Linsman. Dumped off the boards. Pavanka chased off. Mellenby can't get it in. So it is Sheehy walking it back over to Johansson. Creeps in. Johansson watched by Chychrun. Chychrun shoves him once, then twice along the board. Back to the point it came, and then it was hacked back down by Chychrun, and so Sheehy has to go. Attack and resistance right now here in the second period. No goals have been scored, so it remains 3-2 the Capitals with 10 minutes and 42 seconds to go. Caps have had 3 shots. The Flyers have had 2. Kartner moves into Smith, a shot. Sawed off by Rivnak. And then back behind the net they work for it. Centering pass. And Smith couldn't pull the trigger. Derek Smith with a good chance from the slot. And he had the right idea there, but Rivnak was able to get a piece of it. Now it is Corriveau losing control, and the Flyers are able to regather in the person of Murphy. Murphy off the stick of Kerr. Hacked right along by Courtnall. Delayed offside wipes as the Capitals are able to clear the zone. Murphy just waits behind. Clock ticks down to 10 minutes and 5 seconds to go in this middle period of our game. Painter slugs one back in off the high glass. Reggett stopped that one behind. It's taken now by Murphy. Dumped back off the boards. Ron Sutter able to feather it out to Kerr. Gets it back again. Sutter moving in. A lot of Caps waiting for him. It is Kerr pivoting now. One-hander turned away by Rivnak. Rebound in front. Kerr finesse one-handedly trying to get help. And the Caps are able to smother it there. Boy, if Kerr would have been able to pull that one off, it would have been automatically on every highlight reel in the world.
Well, the urgency that is facing both of these teams in the hockey game today is really apparent on the ice to me. I mean, right now, both out of a playoff spot. That could change on a daily basis. And Tim Kerr with a huge effort, a one-hand shot on net, and then he was holding off the stick of, I think it was Dale Hunter, as he tried to spin around and get his own rebound. But it has been a hard-fought hockey game. This is the one at the other end that Scott Mellenby ended up head first after. Brian Propp dumped it in front, and I thought Mellenby got a piece of that one out of midair.
Samuelson, a shot that flapped wide. Dealt along by Johansson. He's hit hard by Berube. Boy, this game is shades of yesterday. Just wonder how the Flyers in particular had to play a very bruising game in Boston, can handle this one, but they've done well so far.
So far, no signs of fatigue at all.
9 minutes, 24 seconds to go in the second. Capitals have the lead on the Flyers 3-2 as the puck came to Johansson. Turned it back along for Courtnall, spun it for Alan May. Jammed loose, though, by Kjell Samuelsson, pursued by Hunter, but he's wedged off by Huffman. And so Samuelsson can glide back out, turns it along to Craig Berube, puts it right in on goal, and Rivnak makes the save, and then swings one along. Berube to the corner, hit by Sheehy. Puck finesse right back over to Berube, locks up with Sheehy, trying to get to it as Kelly Eklund, held off by Hunter. Courtnall with 2 goals and an assist, figuring on each of the Washington tallies today. Saw that pass ricochet off May and come down near Reggett. Spins it around the boards, and Samuelsson there with 8:45 to go. With a pass ahead to Eklund, but it is finessed away from him by Berglund, and then Lacombe came by and forced it back. Hughes connects back over to Kevin Hatcher, pulling away from Eklund. Nice move to get away from Lacombe, but the pass was off Alan May's stick and drilled back out by Samuelsson, just wide of Lacombe. And Samuelsson taken to task all the way back at the other end by May, and they stand and talk with one another. And Samuelsson will drift away, and May will head to the Capitals bench on a change.
Now by Borough 13 on the concourse, if you haven't done so yet, your chance to win a luxury mini vacation at the fabulous Crum Plaza Hotel and Casino and Atlantic City's centerpiece. 3 days, 2 nights, including dinner, breakfast, all compliments of Crum Plaza. Borough number 13.
Off this face-off, it is Kartner spinning to the corner. Mike Bullard is there as well. Pestered by Ridley, scales one along. Craven steps into Hatcher. Good body position to control. Now we'll have to pivot back deeper and is forced further by Ridley. So Kartner has to contend with the corner work again of Kelly Miller. Able to do that up to Tocchet, then on to Craven, moving along with Bullard. Craven trying to get through the sandwich of defense, but can't, as Hatcher and Langway close ranks, and then Hatcher lifted off Tocchet. Still the battle along the boards. Mike Bullard is there. Jammed it along, got it to Tockett in the corner. Center to Craven. Tried to deal one in front. And it was a weak one that could be scooped up. It'll be the Bullard, Craven, and Tockett combination, the one that almost scored just a moment ago. And Craven just didn't seem to get all of that one that he wanted in receiving the pass, let alone being able to get much of a shot away.
No, he really had to reach for it, and he was moving away from Rivnak. Rivnak was all squared up and set for the shot when it came.
Oh, here's a 2-on-1, unless Kartner can impede Miller, and does just enough to throw the whole play off. So Kartner recovered brilliantly there for the Flyers. In the corner, Ridley jostles along with Tockett, and back up the wing it comes to Bullard. Bullard moving along with Murray Craven there, drops it off to Tockett. It's right now a 3-on-3 as Tockett moves in. Then to Craven for a shot. Calmly guided away by Rivnak, played along by Hatcher. Murphy tries to keep it, forced off by the checking of Ridley. On comes Hatcher, nicely able to finesse Murphy, but didn't gain too much ground. Hatcher to the slot, though. Miller, shot, score!
When Kevin Hatcher made his move, and we picked up this replay too late to show you his move, he didn't really put himself in a dangerous position, but what he did was buy himself enough time to watch for the late guy coming. The late guy coming was Kelly Miller. Hatcher's already finished his move at this point. Dumped it into the slot. Miller's coming late, and Miller has all kinds of time. Nobody picked up the late guy coming into the zone. You can see the first three Flyers are back. And Kelly Miller just snapped that one up high over Ken Regis' right shoulder. And the Caps now lead 4-2.
Mellenby centers one, and Brian Propp was checked off by Rouse. Hatcher and Ridley, the assist on Miller's 15th at 12:44, and the Caps with a 2-goal lead for the first time in the game. Now Dale Hunter thunders a check in on Huffman as you watch Lintzman play it back. Oh, he wants to go by Painter, then dropped it to Mellenby. Shot, and getting a piece of that one was Rivnak. Mellenby took a hit from Hunter. Hunter able to step ahead. Watched now by Gary Huffman. Help came from Mellenby. Guides it on back to Samuelson. Pass crisply on out to Brian Propp, moving along with Ken Lintzman. Propp has Lintzman headed to the net. Sent one off the waffle board of Rivnak. It's scooped up by Tucker. Caps try to start back out. Tucker's pass was off Courtnall. Locked up by Samuelson, and Kartner comes ahead. Kartner at the very, very deep area. Threw one right in front that's off the pad of Rivnak. Centering pass. Oh, and Derek Smith couldn't take it out of the air. There'll be a penalty coming up, and it's going to be on the Flyers' Tim Kerr.
Well, this has to be a key point in this hockey game. The Flyers are down a man. Tim Kerr is off for a hold right in front of the Caps net. Here it is right here. Tim Kerr pulling down Dale Hunter. And the Caps go on a power play with a 2-goal lead. 6:10 to go in the second period. Flyers have to flex their defensive muscles right now.
They'll do that with Kartner and Chychrun, and up front, Eklund and Smith. Puck lifted out of play, and so they'll do it again with 4 seconds having gone off this power play. Courtnall with 2, Miller and Hunter with 1 each. For the Flyers, Berube and Tockett have the goals today, and a 4-2 Capitals advantage. Islanders and Devils are underway. Undoubtedly a sellout at the Nassau Coliseum, and the game right now in the first period is scoreless. Steve Coates, if he doesn't have goals, will have something of that game, maybe even the opening face-off or the anthem to show you. Back to get this now is Hatcher, as we're just getting a good start on this Capitals power play. They score on this, it's a 3-goal lead, and at home that turns out to be quite a bit. Flyers kill it off, they could be picked up by it. They've come so close. They had a shot that went off the post. Had it gone in, why the game would have been a tie at that point. At 3, now back in comes Eklund. Has it finessed away by Johansson. Hatcher to pick it up for the Capitals. Moves it back up to Mike Ridley, then across to Pavonka. Pavonka trying to step by Kartner. Able to roll it to the corner. Pavonka stepped into again by Kartner, but it is turned along from Ridley to Ciccarelli. Dino Ciccarelli setting up shop, hands back to Ridley. Slides behind the net. That one flipped off Kartner, came back over to Pavonka. Just sent flying by Kartner. And it is Ridley in front. Johansson scores!
The Caps have opened up a 3-goal lead. with all kinds of time in the corner, and I'll tell you why he had all kinds of time. The Capital player in the corner passed it out to Johansson, who had slipped in through a wide hole. But watch Terry Cartner on the right of your screen. He hit Pivonka down, and then Pivonka tripped him. When he tripped him, Jeff Chikrin had to kind of compensate for Cartner going down and move to the corner, and once that happened, that whole zone box got twisted around. Johansson found a huge seam, put himself in a spot to get the pass, and put it by Ken Reggett. So the Caps took advantage of a fallen flyer and adjusted, and now Pete Peters is going to make his debut in a Washington Caps building in a Flyers uniform, his first time here since joining the Flyers.
Well, this guy has been incredible in recent games, too. He's had a save percentage over the last 4 games of right around 92. And that's terrific. He still doesn't have a win yet. He's deserved at least a couple in his last starts, but hasn't gotten them. So he comes in here, no warm-up, of course. He must operate cold with 5:14 to go in the second. And his old team leading his current team by a count of 5-2. Miller shovels over to Mike Ridley. Teams are at even strength now, and we get an offside call. Ridley and Pivonka the assist on Johansson's 4th power play goal, 6th of the year, at 14:46 of the second period. So the Caps strike twice in 2 minutes and 2 seconds to enlarge a 1-goal lead to make it 3.
We understand the Devils are leading the Islanders 2-1 in the first period. Sundstrom and Al Boleen have scored for the Devils.
You know, we talk about underrated players. We were mentioning that yesterday. Sundstrom is certainly one, isn't he?
Patrick Sundstrom sure is.
Back to get this now is Hatcher, given a good shoulder by Tocchet. Along the boards, Ciccarelli tried to work it out, kept alive, though, by Craven. Then it's taken by Mike Bullard. Bullard flips one behind. Rick Tocchet going to get it there. Centered one out in front. Oh, and Craven couldn't get a good shot away because he was hit by Hatcher. Then along to Murphy. Dumps it along toward Craven. Waits, centers to the slot, but it is Ciccarelli to move out unmolested along with Ridley. Ridley controlling as the crowd is chanting, Dino, Dino. Puck rolled right back out by Wells. In stride to Tocchet. Hands over to Craven. Can't get through the defense. Tocchet from the slot drives one, and Ribnak was able to block that one away. Ridley with a pass. Ciccarelli trying to control, but can't. It's brushed loose by Samuelson. Loaded right back in. Rick Tocchet just directing some traffic there. Calmly gets it for the Flyers. Down to the last 4 minutes and 10 seconds of the second period. Flyers trailing in the game 5-2. Jay Wells pivots. Plays it on back now to Samuelson. Samuelson's pass is corralled by Derek Smith. Wheels ahead. Shovels one that is blocked off by the defense of Rouse. Started ahead by Alan May, but couldn't get up the wing without losing to Huffman. Then Ron Sutter hit by Druce, bounced right off and hands over to Smith. Smith has Kerr moving to the net. Tried to give to him, but he was locked up in Druce's checking, and back out a descent for Barry Huffman to play. 3:40 to go in the second period. Huffman's pass brought right back in by Ron Sutter. Fires, blocked away by Ribnak. Sutter got a good shot away that time. Turned right in front by Smith, and Ribnak now will step out and just punch it to the corner. May stepped into by Smith. Alan May trying to kick it along, but can't. Back it comes to Rouse. Bob Rouse behind. Sutter goes after him, so around the boards it comes. Poked further by Druce to Pivonka. Given a good lick by Derek Smith, and so he jabbed it back to Huffman at the line. Barry Huffman's pass tipped by Smith back down, and this one retrieved by Ribnak and set up for Kent Painter. Painter had played only 3 NHL games before this year. Now set up to Courtnall, and a shot went off Peter's pad and wide as Courtnall was headed for the hat trick. Now the puck left and Linseman. He's got Berube up the wing, tries to work his way through Johansson and can't. Back down it comes near Pete Peters with 2:50 to go in the second period. Terry Cartner controlling on defense for the Flyers. Dumps one back up now for Mellanby. That's floated by him, and Johansson skips one that hopped off Chikrin. Brought on now by Hunter. Leads it in, eyed up by Chikrin. Ready to pull the trigger with Tucker. Oh, the puck sent right across the goal mouth near Tucker and just wide. Sent across now for Hunter. Courtnall trying to get loose, wrapped up by Linseman. Good shot on Peters, and another one, and Pete Peters makes a couple of strong saves. Now it's Chikrin dumping it back off. And going down to get it will be Johansson. There'll be no icing call here. Down to the last 2:12 of the second period. Puck left away for Brian Propp to come for. He and Hunter tie up along the boards, and coming by is Lacombe. Forced it back to the corner. Johansson turns behind. Lacombe right after him. And so it's lifted back off the boards and out to Jay Wells. Wells dumps it along for Eklund. Has to go back for some control. Away from Leach. Connects with Lacombe. Poke checked away, but Murphy starts it on. Then to Lacombe. Lost it, though, to Corriveau. They scramble for possession, and it comes back up near Wells. Off the turning skate of Lacombe, who's able to recover and move in with Prop. Feeds one for Prop, but that skipped across the goal now. Down to the last minute 35 of the second period. If you're just joining us, 5-2, the Caps ahead. 18,130 fans watching here from the Cap Center. And Corriveau trying to get to this loose puck. Diving play made by Jay Wells to force it to the corner. But now Pavelka waits, deals it back across to Langway. Shovels one across that went over to Leach, and maybe one too many passes for the Caps to get anything going that time. That benefits the Flyers as Eklund trying to jam it loose. Along the boards, though, it is played by Corriveau. Reaching for him is Eklund. Help came from Norman Lacombe, but Langway able to keep it. Dips one back off to Corriveau. Shovels it right into the glove of Peters. Peters just waits, and now the whistle hasn't come from Paul Stewart, so he just puts it back into play for Lacombe, and he's able to dump it back out. In this period, 13 shots for the Caps and 10 for the Flyers. Thus far in the game, it's 25-22 Capitals, and that becomes the 26th from Ciccarelli. Taken to the wall by Craven. Puck picked up by Ridley. Feeds it back to Langway. Shoots one. Stick save made by Peters. And now the Caps are getting a lot of attempts in. Moving in is Hatcher. Wrestled off by Bullard. Pivot still able to keep the puck. Feeds it back to Langway. Loads the gun again. Shovels one that's knocked down in front and played by Jay Wells. Caps have the Flyers just sort of hanging on here in the last minute or two.
No question the Flyers are sagging, and a couple of goals that the Caps scored one after the other really have given them a boost. And right now what the Flyers need is about a 15-minute intermission, and they're going to get that in about 10 seconds.
Samuelson back. Reefed to the boards and glass by Ciccarelli. And it is Tocchet nudging it back ahead to Craven as the horn will sound to end the second period of play. And off Rod Langway. Hatcher pivots. Lays one along the boards. Terry Kartner couldn't get it. Now it's jammed back out by Miller, but picked up by Murray Craven. Chychrun directing some traffic as the puck comes back across to him. Jeff Chychrun leading it ahead. Flips one that skips off the stick of Riznak to the corner. Tocchet bumps into Dino Ciccarelli. Puck picked up by Bullard. Poke checked away, though, by Langway behind. And then it is Hatcher once more. Hatcher dealing one along. Terry Kartner keeps it away. Flips one across that's deflected away from Bullard, but Bullard will regather. Mike Bullard's pass came right to Miller. Oh, and he sent it just beyond, and well beyond Ridley, or Ridley would have had a breakaway. Kartner back to touch this one up, and we get an icing call 47 seconds into the third period of play. In case you keep track of these things, and we're certain that there's someone there that likes knowing this kind of information, this is the 1750th game in Flyers history today.
No kidding.
The record on the prior 1749 is 909, 590, and 250. That's a lot of games. And that is second only over a span of the last 18 years in wins for the Montreal Canadiens. So they've been very productive, but things have been a struggle lately. 6 under 500, and trailing the Washington Capitals here, 47 seconds into the third period, 5-2. From the draw to the corner goes Kerr, but it's belted around and tipped back out by Courtnall. Courtnall with 2 goals. Hunter, Miller, and Johansson have singles. Berube and Tocchet, the lone goal scorers for the Flyers. Kent Painter back for this. Stepped into, good hit on him by Derek Smith. Puck winds up underneath, and Painter wisely freezes it there to get a face-off near Riznak. A lot of the Caps are getting more ice on. Well, here we have a skirmish breaking out with Kerr, and I believe Painter. That Kerr's got some good lefts coming in there, doesn't he?
He sure does, but he's got to be careful. You know, it's when he actually, well, Jay Wells is in there too. I wonder if he'll get a third man. It almost looked to me like Courtnall threw a couple of straight lefts at Derek Smith and hit him. And in the middle of that pile, Courtnall has his back against the glass. And there are a couple of guys that for at least a short while played junior together in Lethbridge. Bob Rouse and Ron Sutter were teammates when they were teenagers.
Rouse is a very unheralded fighter, but he shouldn't be. He's good.
He's underrated in a lot of ways. You know, when the Capitals made that trade with Minnesota, a lot of people didn't know Bob Rouse. Well, they know him now.
Well, it appears the Flyers are going to come up with an extra, but maybe we're premature on that. Kerr has already gone to the box. Paul Stewart just patiently waiting as we get a look at how this thing develops once more.
Great hit by Derek Smith. You know, he hasn't given his body a rest, even though it was sore today. Tim Kerr was poking away at the puck underneath Kent Painter, and then the advertising on the boards came into the play, and from there it ended, or something like that.
Well, Kerr and Painter get roughing minors, and they cancel each other out, so there'll be no power play resulting from this. Sort of a surrealistic portrait of Big Bud and Trump Plaza across there, wasn't it? This is something that happens to us a lot here, where we have fans blocking our view. And they mean well, just sometimes they arrive late for the start of a period. And so occasionally players to our view will stick handles through a tray of popcorn. And in this case, there's fans right in front of one of the cameras. Similar to Los Angeles in that respect. Puck dealt right back along by Tucker. Flipped further by Tocchet. Puck pops over to Sutter. Chopped away, though. And Hunter is there. Hunter starts out. Hit by Tocchet. Jay Wells can bring it back. Checked by Courtnall, but escapes. Wells with a shot that went wide. Off the back of the goal. Forced loose by Johansson. Around now for Wells. Tried to poke one further. Ron Sutter had to regather, and the Flyers must play at center ice. Teams are at full strength with a minute and a half gone in the third period. Capitals with a 5-2 lead. Dumped to the corner by Smith. Picked up there by Johansson, and Ella Johansson just puts it right on the stick of John Tucker. Tucker trying to pivot away. Lays it back off for Courtnall. Moves right in front. Save made by Peters, as Courtnall didn't get quite the shot he wanted out of that. He was gunning for the hat trick. Now it is Propp ahead. Turns it back on to Scott Mellenby. Mellenby centers one, and it went across the goal mouth wide. Picked up by Linseman. Linseman to the back. Samuelson a drive, and that blocked away. Taken by checked at Corriveau. Rolled back around for Leach. So the Flyers got a little attack going after the Caps saw Courtnall walk right in alone. Here's Leach with a shot. Snapped right up by Peters, and he hangs on. Leach shoves and gets one back. This time the point men stay out of it for the Capitals, so they can keep that face-off near Peters.
Boy, Peters has made a couple of real impressive saves, and quick, one after the other. And Jeff Courtnall has been so dangerous coming off the right side today. A great jump move there to spring himself loose, and when he came in, he just tried to flip it back on Pete Peters, and Pete was a little off balance, but still got a piece of it. But there's the move on Kerry Huffman by Courtnall. Good positioning by Pete Peters. He never did give way. But Courtnall is a left winger, and John Tucker is the right winger on that line. But when Courtnall comes through the neutral zone, almost all the time he'll cut over and end up on the right side, and he has been really dangerous from his off wing today.
Another of the additions that the Capitals have gotten in trades with Buffalo. It's interesting, some trades, and it really comes through acquaintances of general managers and the network that they develop. Some teams are more likely to trade with certain ones than others. The Caps have had quite a few trades with the Buffalo Sabres, for example, and some also with Minnesota.
Boy, that was a big hole. I don't know if you could see it, but that camera angle showed us a pretty big hole in there, and it's right out in front of Pete Peters. This is new ice, and very often when the ice is taken out and laid back down again, you don't have enough time to do layers of ice, and that's part of the bonding of the ice. Just ask Barry Jones, the ice maker back at the Spectrum. He taught me all I need to know about ice, and you got to do it in a lot of different layers so that it bonds. And if you have to put it in very quickly, you got to do maybe a half an inch of water right away, and it just cracks easily. There was a tractor pull in here, and they had to take the ice out just a few days ago.
See, they're smart. The roof here is black. Anybody that's ever kept house knows that when all that exhaust comes from the tractor pulls, it settles to the roof. There's no place for it to go. But here the roof is black anyway, so it doesn't show. Right. At Boston Garden yesterday, it was white. And over a period of time, it's turned very dark.
And the ice was covered up here, too, last night. There was a basketball game here, right? Georgetown and Syracuse, or yesterday afternoon.
Here is Berglund pivoting the net. Berglund just drops this one off for Drews. Craven goes right after him. Drews and Craven test to the corner. May can't pick it up. Eklund just shovels it back out. 17 minutes, 25 seconds to go in the third period. Teams are at full strength. Capitals have the lead by a count of 5-2. Surprisingly, no icing on that one. But it is controlled now by Sheehy. After him comes Lacombe. Bodies him right for the boards. And a good hit, that time by Craig Berube on Sheehy. Puck turned back down, and Jeff Chikrin goes to get it. Flyers need some of that physical force to get back in this game. They're trailing by 3. Ellie Eklund trying to start by Johansson. Eklund ridden off by Johansson behind the net. Both of them go down. And then it is Berglund being stumped soundly to the boards by Berube. Puck works back up the wing. A 2-on-1 with Murphy back. Berglund moving in. Has Drews. Diving play by Gord Murphy, and a beauty. Brought back up now by Craig Berube. Berube with one of the two Flyers' goals today. Can't penetrate the line. Instead, it is Alan May. And May just shovels one back in deep, goes for the tip change as Peters taps on to Murphy. Ken Reggett was in goal for the 5 goals scored by Washington. And after the 5th, which came at 14:46 of the second, Pete Peters came on in relief. Here is Ridley trying to pull away from Bullard. Gets help from the captain, Rod Langway. Then DeMiller, head manned up to Ridley. Ridley watched by Jay Wells. Crosses. Looks to shoot. Pass in front for Ciccarelli. Had it not been for Murphy and the good defensive work he was doing, there'd have been a goal. Now out in front, Miller can't get a shot away as he's stripped up by the defense and the puck taken by Bullard. Mike Bullard wraps one around the boards for the turning Rick Tocchet. Heads it back over for Bullard. Picks up Wells and Craven along the way. Bullard trying to get by Rod Langway and is forced right off by the veteran defenseman. It's turned back out by Miller, and it plops near Shel Samuelson, but controlled by Ciccarelli. Then back to Rouse with 15:40 to go in the third. Little pass on to Courtnall. Flips one that is tipped loose at the line, but controlled eventually for the drive by Tucker. That one floated and cracked off the glass. Courtnall to dump it along, but Ron Sutter and Jay Wells are there for the Flyers. Wells will be the one to take control. Wells pass right on the money to Hunter, though. Hunter controls, gives to Courtnall. Couldn't finesse through the checking of Murray Craven. Worked back ahead now by Sutter. Steps along with a pass over for Tocchet. Tocchet tried to feather it through. Bullard up with it. At the slot, couldn't get a shot away. Bullard chopped that by Courtnall. Still able to control. Nice handoff for Tocchet. Jammed it behind and tried to get to the front. And no was said emphatically that time by Hatcher. Cap's able to control. It's nudged back on to Kevin Hatcher. Eyed up by Huffman. Hatcher fakes, drops to Courtnall. Drives. Score!
Jeff Courtnall has had a lot of room today. Space and time, the two most valuable commodities to a hockey player. And Courtnall has created a lot of his own space. He's had time to get some shots away, and look at the space and time he has on this one. He just rifled that one right through Pete Peters. Hatcher with a nice play coming across the blue line. He faked the shot. Terry Huffman backed in. The Flyers defense have really been backing in so far this period. And then Zingo, right between the legs of Pete Peters. That's a hat trick for Courtnall, his 21st goal of the season. He had 18 at the beginning of today's game.
That is the first Capitals hat trick of the season that Courtnall has gotten here, and so this is a distant game for the Flyers. They've got a lot of ground to make up and just under 15 minutes in which to do it, trailing here by a score of 6-2. Hatcher and Johansson get the assist on Courtnall's hat trick goal. There'll be a penalty coming up against the Flyers here. Chychrun touches, and the Caps will swing on the power play and have a chance to further enlarge their lead.
Jeff Chychrun was called for cross-checking, so he is off, and the Caps with a 6-2 lead, 14:36 to go in the third, are now on the power play, and they have picked up the scent, especially this guy, Jeff Courtnall, with the hat trick, also with a real pretty assist to start the scoring for the Caps on the very first goal.
Hatcher and Johansson the assist on Courtnall's 21st at 5:09. And Chychrun's cross-check was at 5:24. Staggering is Courtnall, gets up to swing it back in deep. Around the board, stopped by Peters and set up for Samuelson. Drills one further. Courtnall tries to play. Back it comes near Hatcher. Then it is Kartner. Terry Kartner moving back out. Pass too far for Tocchet and down. Johansson given a shove by Tocchet. Coming by to get it is Ron Sutter. Then Johansson feeds it back up to Courtnall. Courtnall eyed up by Terry Kartner. Courtnall crossing. Drops it on back to Hunter. Then over to Hatcher again. Watched by Sutter, and Hatcher just pivots and takes a look. Still holding. Hunter moves to the deep slot now. Caps are sort of swirling all about with no purpose, and then just as it seemed that was the case, Johansson let a shot go that hit the outside of the goal. Johansson dips it back into the corner. Hunter, crisp pass over to Courtnall. Then across for the play by Tucker. Tucker gives it back to Hatcher, almost shot it back out. Then the deep slot Portnoy, nice set up to Tucker, and he wanted to reach Hunter in the corner, and the Caps are becoming a little bit too cute perhaps here. It is Hatcher, able to finesse one along. They've got the big 4-goal lead, but Portnoy seems to have been in a position to shoot a couple of times and has passed off. Hunter flips one back along now for Tucker again, pestered by Tocchet. Tucker trying to keep in the corner. Carpenter denies him. Puck poke loose. Nice work there. And Tocchet can start back out, so he overskated. Carpenter did not. And penalty time is down now to 29 seconds. So the Caps have not gotten a shot on goal on this power play. 13 minutes to go in the third. They have the lead 6-2, and Samuelson wheels it back down. Islanders and the Devils are 2-2 in the second period. Just underway, Pittsburgh and Buffalo. Mario Lemieux has his string at 38 straight games with at least a point. And he will tie Gretzky for second in overall point strings if he can get one today at Buffalo. That would be 39. Gretzky with the all-time lead at 51. The Flyers would thus be facing Lemieux in his 40th if he's able to get that today. That would be Tuesday night when we're on the air at 7:30 from the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh. Puck forced away from Ridley. Dealt right back around. Swirling with it is Ciccarelli. Hands close quarters to Ridley. Allows it to go back to Rouse. Then around past Ridley. Cutting it off is Jay Wells. Pavanka checked him, and it's Ridley once more, leaned on by Eklund. Across to Pavanka, stepped into by Wells, pivoting with it now is Ridley, trying to get to the slot. Here's Pavanka, feeding off, and Ciccarelli a shot, good challenge by Peters. Turning with this to throw it back down is Derek Smith. Teams are at full strength. Puck over the end line, touched up by Langway, and an icing call. Stops the clock with 11:54 to go in the third. Caps lead 6-2. Mike Richmond, our statistician today, points out that still the Flyers are shotless in the third period. The Caps have 4. Flyers sagged after that fifth goal that the Capitals got, and I'm sure a lot of the physical pain starting to be felt a little more now at the bench as you wait for your next shift. As the Caps have gotten a 6-2 advantage here. Flyers with some hustle as Tocchet with a pass that's tipped loose. Played by Drews, able to finesse away from Samuelson and hand back up to Alan May. Chased off to the checking of Mike Bullard, but help came from Berglund to trickle one to the corner. Bullard goes back to play this. Hit by Berglund, and Bullard without his stick that was dislodged from the force of the hit, got it to Craven, then he recovers the stick and goes back to play once more. Across over to Kjell Samuelson. Pass was behind Craven, a chance for Bullard up the wing. He's got Tocchet with him. Bullard fakes to Tocchet in front. Backhander save, Rivnak, and the rebound is held by the sprawling Washington goalie.
What a great play by Mike Bullard. No, I can't say enough nice things about the way Mike Bullard has played this hockey season. He has been moved all over the place. We talked about his utility use up front. Great fake, and just a little chop pass. Right in front for Rick Tocchet. But Rivnak was there again. 6-2 the Capitals lead, 11:10 to go in the third. Flyers didn't score a goal in that last play. Consolation prize, though. John Drews was called for hooking Rick Tocchet as he went in on Rivnak, so the Flyers are on the power play.
So, for Philadelphia, power play number 3 on the game as Murphy drops this one back off to Eklund. Check that, number 2. Call was a hook. Eklund throws it behind to Tocchet, then back over to Pelle Eklund again. Works it out to Murphy, then along to Eklund, across to Craven. Murphy fires, and it's blocked away in front. Rod Langway got a piece of that one as it's brushed back out by Ridley. They hurry on, and Kelly Miller trying to step by. 2 on the goalie. Miller in front. Not many guys are going to pull off a move like that when they've got a breakaway, but Miller did and scored on it.
I don't know if he was thinking of passing to Kevin Hatcher, but it sure was a dandy move. Watch this. Spinorama in front. Hatcher was there, but Kelly Miller decided to spinorama himself all the way. Murray Craven tried to get back along the boards and couldn't. The Flyers had all pinched up on the play.
Oh, my goodness.
You know, it would have been a mistake maybe to drop off to Hatcher. Hey, look, he made the right decision on this play, and the Capitals lead at 7-2.
This number 17, Mike Ridley. Time of the goal, shorthanded.
All Pete Peters could try to do on the play was spread out. And it's tough for one guy to spread out when you've got 2 attackers right in your face. Imagine that, a 2-man breakaway, no Flyer back, and the Caps were shorthanded and still are.
Brian Propp back to Samuelson, across to Huffman. Shorthanded goal with 1 assist to Ridley. Miller's 16th of the year, second of the game at 9:16. That was a beautifully executed move. He must have been thinking spinorama as he made his move there. It almost looked like a half sort of afterthought, didn't it? But
well, that's why I thought he might be passing back to Hatcher and then just decide to pull out of it.
Bullard, a cannon shot that was blocked away by Rivnak. Back it comes now to Shell Samuelson. This team that could not seemingly score goals early in the year had 6 against Montreal on Friday, and they have 7 this afternoon against the Flyers. Puck chipped away and back down, so Huffman will chase with 40 seconds to go on the power play. Pete Peters just holds it there, and Kerry Huffman will control. Huffman moving back out along with Samuelson. Up front, the Flyers are going with Mellanby as well as Craig Berube and Sutter. Berube has scored a goal, so he's entered in that column today. Not in the penalty minute column, although Alan May, the leading penalty getter in the league, has gotten 15 because of one set two with Wells, so he's up to 249 in minutes now. Good shot by Sutter, guided away by the pad of Rivnak. Behind, Mellanby tries to center. To the back it comes to Chikrin, then dumped back off to Mellanby again. Mellanby had that one jousted away, got right back up to play it, thumped to the corner boards, though by Rouse. Puck played by Berube, walks in front, flipped one that is blocked away by Johansson, brought back up by Ridley. Out of the box comes Drews. They've got a 2-on-2 as Ridley looks for Drews, still controls, a lot of traffic, still kept it though, and then a wrist shot by Hunter, it's turned wide. Poked right back along it is Corriveau, stepped into there by Sutter. Corriveau and Sutter to the corner. It squirts loose to be played by Huffman. Well, that was a really splendid example of control by Mike Ridley. He seemed to have Flyers all around him and just peeled away and then got a good scoring opportunity from Corriveau up the wing. 8:35 to go in the third. Caps ahead in the game 7-2. G trying to turn it along, but Kartner was able to keep play alive for the Flyers. Rivnak behind. Second start of the season for him. Puck flipped along to Lacombe, and he had a victory against Montreal, so starting to feel pretty confident there. Yielded 3 to Montreal, 2 thus far to the Flyers. Want to peck away and at least make this respectable, but they can't do it this time. As ahead and wiping out is Dale Hunter. Just gets back up to play again and flipped one that went off of Kartner. Controlling this and starting back up is Lacombe. Lacombe watched by Ciccarelli. Nice move to get away from him. Shovel shot blocked off by Rivnak and turned by Hatcher. Kevin Hatcher with a pass on to Langway. Guides it right back ahead to Pavalka. Langway showing no ill effects from that injury at all. He seems to have played very strongly today. This one dealt back off for Derek Smith. Tried to chop it by Hatcher. Can't. Thrown along by Murphy. Rick Tocchet goes back to get it. What an explosive week for Tocchet. 6 points. And then coming up with a goal in this game this afternoon, too. Wedged to the boards by Hatcher. 6 points came in that game against Winnipeg on Thursday at the Spectrum. Courtnall starting back ahead. Watched by Jay Wells. Has Tucker with him. Courtnall to Tucker, and it's fidgeted loose by Murphy, and Murphy can advance it back. Back checked away by Hunter, but followed up, though, by Craven. Drops the Tocchet. Shot turned aside by Rivnak. And it is Courtnall moving to it, but the net dislodged behind Rivnak and a stoppage of play. 7:10 to go in the third. Caps lead by 5. Off the face-off, puck is controlled by Murphy and hammered right back around. Skipped away from Rivnak. Nice sidestep by Sheehy, but Craig Berube up with it. Oh, he had Sutter moving in front, but it was cut off by Berglund, and then Berglund wiped out by Kerrs checking. In neutral ice, it is underneath a couple of the fallen players, and we get a halt to play.
Boy, you talk about the fine line between winning and losing in the National Hockey League. Sure, Terry Murray is aware of that fine line, but the Flyers last year played 28 one-goal games. 35% of their schedule ended up in one-goal contests. They won 11 of the 28, 39% of them in all. This season, 21 games have ended in one-goal decisions for the Flyers. That's 40% of the schedule. The problem this year has been those one-goal games. The Flyers have only won 4 of the 21 one-goal decisions for a 19% total. Not strong enough, obviously.
Johansson back over to Sheehy. And Sheehy tries to flip. Forced loose by Kartner, but then pivoting back with it is Alan May. May's pass, tipped away by Kartner. Berube drops it back in, and going to get it is Johansson. To mention, May is the league-leading penalty getter. Craig Berube is second with 215 minutes. May now with 249. The Caps made quite a change from last year to this. They have already had more fighting majors this season than they had all last year. Coming into this game, they had 65, and they've registered 1 this afternoon. Right in on goal, and Rivnak able to hang on to it and get a stoppage of play. But Brian Murray said, and Terry Murray reaffirms, that they want more aggressiveness out there, and they've been able to get the personnel to do it.
Yeah, they sure have.
Oh, here we go. Looked as though Berube was trying to get in the direction of Johansson. Chikrin and Sheehy talking, and it was the latter stages of the last game when most of the fights occurred at the Spectrum.
Berube and Johansson, 2 minutes each for roughing.
Number 17, Craig Berube. Washington penalty number 6, Kelly Johansson, 2 minutes each roughing at 13:46.
Well, you can't prove it by anyone in the league that one of the criticisms that the Caps had was that they couldn't score that many goals, and they didn't have maybe the goaltending to withstand the season. And of course, time will tell whether that's the truth or not, but they've sure been strong in recent games. Terry Murray gunning for his 4th win in 6 outings since taking over from his brother Brian. Puck dealt along now by Langway. Trying to get loose with it is Mellanby. Nice couple of moves. Back to Huffman for a shot, just blocked away by Rivnak, and then played by Hatcher. Able to work one ahead to Hunter. Moving back out with Druce. The pass across for Rod Langway to carry. Langway just moves to the Flyers line and then forces them to chase. Clock ticks down to 5 minutes and 50 seconds to go here in the third. Many of the fans have headed for the exit. Maybe to get a start on the traffic and also to get positioned and get all the chips in order and the popcorn and everything for the Super Bowl parties that are rampant this afternoon. Puck dealt along off of Mellanby. May comes up with this and starts back out. Alan May drops it to the corner. One of the members of our crew is attending a baby shower combination Super Bowl party today. I've never heard of one of those before. Puck dealt along for Bullard and then scooped up by Kelly Miller. Watched by Huffman. Miller trying to shake by. Spun by Huffman, and the puck picked up by Samuelson and controlled by Craven. Works it back up the wing. Tocchet tried to scoop it ahead. Cannot. And it is forced back out of play. It hit someone at the Flyers bench and then flopped back on. So with 5:01 to go in the third, and the Caps up by 5, have a neutralized faceoff.
Partway through the game yesterday, Mark Howe started to feel some more pain in his lower back and was unable to make it for the third period. He left the team and returned to Philadelphia last night. No telling when he will be back. Ron Hextall is back skating and should be ready to face some shots in the next couple of days. Perhaps just a couple of weeks away now. Yuri Lotto with a slight shoulder separation. Out for 10 days to 2 weeks approximately.
Takes the injury games for the Flyers, counting this one today, up to 265. And this is with a total of 51 games played in an 80-game schedule. So we don't have figures from prior years, especially early years, for man games, but this has to be the worst in the decade for them, that's for sure. Back to touch up for the icing is Kent Painter, so back it'll come near Peters with 4:25 to go in the third, and the Caps ahead here at Capitol Center. Terry Kartner taken right off by Corriveau on the resulting face-off, and it's skipped back down. Rod Langway will go to get it. News has been good from Hershey lately. The Bears won their second straight last night, beating the first-place Utica Devils in South Division game by a count of 5-3, 7,700 there, and Bruce Hoffert was the winning goaltender. Chris Jensen, remember him? He played for the Flyers earlier in the week, had the winning goal in a 5-3 victory. Play Maine there on Wednesday. Flyers will find their next game at Pittsburgh on Tuesday night. We'll have it for you on Philly 57, beginning at 7:30. Pivoting with this now is Pavanka. Shoots one that's booted right back out by Peters. Chikrin didn't see it. Terry Kartner did, and is able to bring it back up. Right now it's a 4-on-2, but a rather leisurely one. As Kartner moves in, has Sutter moving to the net and floated one by him. Sutter pivoting, able to get it back. Kartner's one-time shot off Rivnak, but he's able to get the glove down on it and freeze play with 3:28 to go.
Well, it hasn't mattered what the score is. This one line for the Flyers has continued to drive for the net. Scott Mellanby, Derek Smith, Ron Sutter. They have had, if nothing else, at least a physical presence in this hockey game. But Rivnak has been impressive. Everybody wondered what the Capitals' goaltending situation would end up being like at this time of the season. Don Beaupre was well, pretty well their number one guy all season long. They've got a couple of youngsters. Rivnak is one of them, so the future looks promising for goaltenders in the Caps organization. Olaf Kolzig is a kid that plays junior, too, that's a top prospect of theirs.
Mario Lemieux, Paul Coffey, and all the gang to go up against the Flyers. And then it will be the longest homestand of the year for the Flyers, 15 days in length, in which they'll play 6 games. And as we've said all year, it seems, maybe in that span of time, some of the rare breaks in the schedule, that would be coming up, and the Flyers can get some people healthy. Get a stoppage of play. Paul Stewart has somebody.
Yeah, he's got Craig Berube.
Is it Berube or Sheehy?
No, it's Berube. Berube went after him. When Sheehy went down, yeah, I like that play. Looked like the Six were going to get up to Tim Sturgis' caller, Dale Hunter, and threw him down face first. Berube went after Sheehy, and when Sheehy went down in the corner, Berube even tried to squash his head into the corner. Sheehy is the one guy the Flyers would like to take out, but they have been told by their coaching staff not to waste too much energy on him if the game is on the line. Well, the game is not on the line right now. 3:21 to go. Caps leading 7-2, and Paul Stewart, I'm sure, will get rid of Craig Berube and Sheehy, at least Craig Berube, possibly Sheehy.
They're going to drop him and go fine, but boy, stick fights not only are ugly, but they result in long suspensions to guys the Flyers can't do without Berube, and I'm sure the Capitals would say we don't need Hunter lost for a while. All this happening with 3:21 to go in the third period of a game that was tight for a while. The Caps blew it open in the second, and then have enlarged their lead here in the third. Paul Stewart has not handed out penalties yet. Right now, just trying to keep peace among the cluster of players, and now will do so as Berube is gone for the day. Dale Hunter will be staying on, however.
Those signals would indicate 2 for cross-checking on Berube. Here it is officially.
For Philadelphia, number 17, Craig Berube. 2 minutes for cross-checking and a penalty misconduct. 16:39. Penalty. Number 17, Craig Berube, 2 minutes for cross-checking.
So the Caps will go on a power play here, and Dale Hunter will remain. This is about the time that things started to get surly in the last game, and that game was very tight. It wound up being a 2-1 Washington win at the Spectrum. Do a little counting up here.
Number 12, Tim Kerr will serve the 2-minute marker.
.48 minutes in penalties thus far today. It's our unofficial quick count up. It's kind of a light for Caps Flyers game. They had 450 minutes total in 4 prior games coming into this afternoon's play. Stewart explaining to Tocchet the whys and wherefores. Well, Hunter and Courtnall, along with Tucker, will be out for the Capitals. It'll be Johansson and Hatcher to work the points. Hatcher moves ahead, pestered from behind by Sutter and forced off. And here's a chance for the Flyers as it's worked by Wells over to Tocchet. Fakes the drive, shovels one, and that one sailed wide. Around the boards it comes. It is poked along by Courtnall, but right into Ron Sutter. Sutter trying to turn away, rolls it up the wing, moving in at Tocchet. Tocchet headed back behind, leaned on there by Johansson, and then given a good hit by Hunter. And they're going to go at one another right now.
Boy, Hunter came a long way across the ice to try and take Tocchet out. And he hit him pretty good. That's what started it. Rick Tocchet went at him directly.
Well, he got the helmet off and landed a couple on the back of Hunter's head, and then he wisely turtled his head underneath into Tocchet's chest. Been a pretty frustrating stretch for the Flyers right now, and you just don't want insult added to potential injury, and that's what Tocchet is going up against right now, as Hunter really had him lined up pretty well. Took Hunter to task, and now with a warning finger pointed.
Watch Hunter come from the right of your screen. Boom, and blindside Rick Tocchet as Calle Johansson was trying to ride Tocchet out of the play. No questions asked after the fact. Hunter never tried to throw a punch. He just tried to stop Tocchet from beating him up. Yeah, take that with the helmet. That's when you want a guy to be wearing a heavier helmet. Those little Yofa helmets hardly weigh anything.
Part of the reason the Flyers don't permit them to be worn.
Right. They don't feel that the protection is good enough on them.
Well, Tocchet has departed. We'll get the penalty calls from Paul Stewart here in a moment. 2:46 to go. Right now, the Caps are on a power play with 1:25 of it. Whether it'll be canceled after this skirmish between Hunter and Tocchet, we'll get the announcement.
Penalties for Philadelphia, number 22, Rick Tocchet. Washington, number 32, Dale Hunter. Each gets 5 minutes for fighting and 17-14.
Caps will keep their power play here.
22, Rick Tocchet. Washington, number 32, Dale Hunter. 5 minutes each for fighting at 17-14.
Two more games left between these two teams, and those will be coming back to the Spectrum later on in the season. Flyers have a stretch of games coming back home and try to get some momentum going on home ice, where they are 2 below 500. They had a better than 500 record on the road before this long stretch began, which will see them play 13 out of 16 games on the road, finishing that whole stretch of 16 off Tuesday night at Pittsburgh. Off this face-off, it's Jay Wells forcing it back down. Caps are using Hatcher and Johansson back on the points. Up front, they're going with Ridley, Pavanka, and Dino Ciccarelli. Flyers kill with Craven and Sutter up front, and in back, Wells and Samuelson. It is Ridley just holding in the corner. Looks to the front, no one there, so he gives to Pavanka, then Hatcher. Then Pavanka once more. A minute to go on the power play. Deals it back off to Ridley. Looks for Ciccarelli. Couldn't get it to him. It was tipped away by Wells. To the back it comes now to Johansson, then right back along to Ciccarelli. Johansson fires one. Save made by Peters, and it was just trickling behind him. And the fans at that end of the ice were in the midst of standing, thinking it was going over, but Pete was able to grab it before it crossed the line. 2:07 to go.
Calle Johansson has been a force for the Capitals today. You know, you talked about underrated players. He might be right up there with the underrated defenseman in the NHL. Defensively, boy, he's been strong. He's not afraid to throw his body around. I don't know, one of the most physical players ever to come out of Sweden, to come over and play. He plays the power play for the Caps. And he's got a great shot, and you just had a look at it. Pete Peters really had to scramble to find the rebound. It surprised him so much, the one-time shot from the point.
Terry Kartner from the face-off, able to shake the checking of Ciccarelli down to the last 40 seconds of the power play, and 2 minutes even to go in the third period. Caps with a 5-goal lead. Hatcher rolling it on back now for the carry by Johansson. Johansson weaves one up the wing now for Pavanka. Just waits, has Ridley moving to the net and then gliding off. To the back it comes to Hatcher. Hatcher then once more to Pavanka. Chips one further for Ridley. Ridley just holding. Watched by Kartner, deals it off. Pavanka tried to find Ciccarelli at the side of the net. A play that the Caps have used often and with some success. Ciccarelli able to stagger free from the check by Chychrun. Then turns it along to Ridley. To the back it comes. Gets it back again from Johansson, does Ridley. Penalty time is up now. Teams are at full strength. Johansson back for Ridley, who's nearly left the scene. Ridley checked to the boards by Craven, coming by. Oh, two-hander from Chychrun that time on Ridley. Puck able to be forced away along the board. Jeff Chychrun trying to pull it loose. Able to lift one that will send the Caps on back. Johansson goes back to get it in the final minute of play here in regulation time. Puck floated ahead. Kicked loose by Derek Smith. Smith moves in, feeds the wing to Kerr. Wrist shot. Stick save made by Rivnak. And behind the net, it's worked back out. 7 shots for the Flyers, and they went the first 9 minutes of the period without getting one. Washington has 8 in the period. Berglund hooked off by Kartner so that Smith can lift it back in. Going to get it is Painter, and Painter flies one back down. We'll have an icing call here as we hit the last half minute of the third period of play. Cartner touches it up with 29 seconds to go.
Well, it's time to hand out our Sterling Motor Cars Grace Under Pressure Award. It has to be Jeff Courtnall of the Washington Capitals. Boy, with 3 goals and an assist, he really has been a dominant offensive force. His 3 goals alone would have been enough to beat the Flyers today, since they have only scored 2. The Grace Under Pressure Award is brought to you by Sterling Motor Cars. Jeff Courtnall, Grace Under Pressure.
Jeff and his brother Russ, both productive players with their team. Jeff seems to have really hit his stride here with the Washington Capitals. Looked as though he was going to be a Ranger a couple of summers ago, but quick shift, and here he came to Washington. Puck knocked down now by Lacombe. Lacombe turns it back for Bullard, and then back deep it goes. Floated along off of Drews, picked up by Lacombe. Well, at one time it was a close game. Flyers hit a post. Caps came back down just about 3 minutes later and were able to break the tie and enlarge on it. Fans chant down the final seconds of this one, and the Washington Capitals pull into a tentative tie for fourth.